Before you begin, double check all the mating surfaces and make sure to use new gaskets, O-rings, and dowels. Install the crankshaft on the right side first. Assemble your crankshaft puller and tighten the nut until the crankshaft is completely seated in the case. The crankshaft will rotate during install, so make sure your connecting rod stays straight. Flip the case and oil the bearings with 2-stroke oil. Mesh the transmission main shaft and countershaft, make sure the washers are still on the ends of the gear stacks, and install them into the case. Install the shift forks. The center fork goes on the main shaft with the markings face down. The left fork goes on the top of the countershaft, and the right goes on the bottom of the countershaft. Install both forks with the markings facing up. Install the shift drum. Rotate the drum so it engages with the center fork pin. Align the fork and the case bore and install the short shift fork shaft. Repeat with the left and right forks. Check the transmission operation by turning the countershaft and shift drum. The transmission may feel hard to shift, but remember that you are using your hand, not your foot, and the gears are meant to move side to side, not up and down. Install the breather tube into the left case and the block into the right case. Install your new dowels and lubricated O-ring. Place your gasket on the right case. Do not cut the top off yet. Apply 2-stroke oil to the left case bearings. Align the left case over the crankshaft and countershaft. Assemble your crank puller and begin joining the case halves. Work slowly and use a mallet when needed. Make sure to keep the case halves as even as possible. With the crankshaft installed and the cases mated, install the crank seals. When installing the crankshaft and countershaft bearing seals, you cannot drive them all the way to the bearing. You need to leave room between the bearing and the seal to allow lubrication to circulate. Drive the right crankcase seal and countershaft seals until they are 1 mm below the top of the bore, and drive the left crankshaft seal to 2 mm below the top of the bore. Pack every seal with grease and install them with the closed side out. You can use a combination of the crankshaft puller to install the seals flush and a large socket to seat them to the correct depth. Transfer your bolts from your holder back to the case. With the bolts in the correct place, apply thread locker. Hand tighten the bolts first, then begin tightening in a crisscross pattern, 1/2 turn at a time until tight. These bolts have no torque specifications, so use a 1/4-inch ratchet to tighten them firmly. Anything bigger and you risk stripping the case threads. Remove excess gasket material. Be careful not to let any gasket material enter the crankcase. Install the bottom end to the frame backside first. Install the 2 mounting bolts from the left side. Install the swing arm pivot shaft after you replace the swing arm bearings. Reassemble the external shift mechanism and double check your transmission. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments or on Facebook. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe.